Papery. The moth's wings had a cartaceous texture. The mycologist flipped the mushroom cap upside down, showing its cartaceous gills.
A bird in Arabian mythology of enormous size and strength. According to the story, the roc flew away with an elephant in its talons as easily as a hawk with a mouse. A brass plate displayed the image of a roc soaring over stormy waters.
To cleanse or purify. The cabin retreat allowed them to mundify their minds from digital overload. A cold plunge in the glacial stream was said to mundify the spirit.
Not capable of being taken away, denied, or transferred. We believe human dignity is unalienable and universal. No contract should override your unalienable right to due process.
An unexpected repercussion. The dancer's fame brought joy at first, but the afterclap was strangers and grifters claiming to know her. Jay aced the exam, but the afterclap of this success was getting drafted to tutor the entire class.
To clear one's throat in a self-important manner. I meant to nod, not to harumph, but my annoyance leaked out. The dean harumphed when the student called him bro.
Egg noodles cut in long, flat pieces. The market stall sold bundles of handmade tagliatelle. The chef tossed the fresh tagliatelle with wild mushroom sauce.
To avoid one's obligations or share of work. He tried to scrimshank his way out of morning drills, but the sergeant noticed. Swamped with messages, the overwhelmed employee chose to scrimshank in the break room instead of diving in.
A desire or craving. Never staying put, Charlie had a yen to see the whole world. The professor's yen for uncovering lost voices led her to study dead languages.
Courteous, gracious, and having a sophisticated charm. She made introductions with a debonair poise, as if grace came to her as naturally as gravity. For picture day, the parents dressed their kids in debonair blazers and tiny silk cravats.
To move restlessly or aimlessly from one place to another. They accused the minister of gaddying around with celebrities while urgent issues piled up in his community. I watched the cat gad across the neighborhood, wandering after leaves, bugs, and shadows.
A house or apartment for part-time or temporary use. She uses a friend's art studio as her occasional weekend pied-à-terre. They bought a tiny pied-à-terre in Tokyo to make business trips less chaotic.
Changing in luster or color. The butterfly's wings had a chatoyant quality that made them difficult to describe. The tabletop made from rare burl would shimmer with chatoyant luster like polished amber.
A stage or period of greatest strength or success. In its heyday, the old amusement park was packed with crowds every weekend. The Roman Empire in its heyday under Augustus stretched across 3 continents and boasted unmatched engineering feats.
Toward what place, in what direction? They paused at the crossroads, uncertain whitherward the old map pointed. The balloon drifted higher and the child wondered whitherward the winds would take it.
To polish and make shiny. A quick swipe of wax was used to burnish the wooden tabletop. Sir Cadwallader rose at dawn to burnish every piece of his armor before the tournament.
Pertaining to or caused by a flood or deluge. The diluvial rain transformed the barren field into a temporary lake. City planners needed to ensure nothing was built on the diluvial plains.
A long, broad sash tied about the waist over a Japanese kimono. After hours of preparation for the wedding, the final touch was the perfectly knotted obi. He selected a gold-trimmed obi to complement the kimono.
Mild, favorable, or auspicious. Summer jogs felt easier with a favonine drifting through the park. A favonine current rippled across the rice paddy.
Dull yellowish brown. The casserole took on a strange, khaki color after reheating, and no one dared eat it. The tense khaki canvas blended into the dry grasslands.
To cause to become dim or indistinct. Heavy rain began to dislim the outlines of passing cars. The words in the journal were dislimmed and faded by the writer's tears.
Tending to clear from a charge of fault or guilt. The lawyer presented exculpatory evidence that cast doubt on the defendant's testimony. The DNA results from the crime scene were exculpatory, ruling out the accused as the perpetrator.
To show or feel great joy. The entire office began to jubilate after office-wide raises were announced. Fireworks lit the sky while the crowd jubilated below.
A gadget or device. Jamie stayed up all night tinkering with a new doodad for translating cat meows. This kitchen doodad makes only one thing, quesadillas.
Having or abounding with stars. The photographer used long exposure to reveal a breathtakingly stelliferous cosmos. Growing up downtown, Ame had never seen how stelliferous the sky was until her first camping trip.
All at once, all together. A flock of pigeons took flight holus bolus, startling the passers-by. The council voted to implement the zoning reforms holus bolus, despite community concerns.
To make into a city or urbanize. The government launched a program to citify former industrial zones. The highway project would inevitably citify nearby farmland.
Family, class, or kind. The forest echoed with the baying of beagles, foxhounds, and their ilk. I am hesitant to trust tabloid journalists and their ilk.
To have a good or bad effect or result. A failure to act now could redound to future crises that are far more difficult to manage. The artist's bold choices redounded to a show that everyone's still talking about.
Silly talk, writing, or ideas. All this talk about a miracle night cream is a bunch of hooey. Don't fall for their marketing hooey. Their quesadilla maker barely works.
Of or like a peacock. A pavonine silk handkerchief was tucked into his jacket pocket. The garden's mosaic walkway was covered in beautiful pavonine tiles.
Someone described as verbose tends to use many words to convey their point. Verbose can also describe something, such as a speech, that contains more words than necessary. The article documenting their meeting presented an odd exchange between a verbose questioner and a laconic interviewee. Much academic language is obscure and verbose.
To galumph is to move in a loud and clumsy way. I could hear them galumphing around in the attic in search of old family photo albums. She galumphed along beside him.
Desultory is a formal word used to describe something that lacks a plan or purpose, or that occurs without regularity. It can also describe something unconnected to a main subject, or something that is disappointing in progress, performance, or quality. After graduation, I moved from job to job in a more or less desultory manner before finding work I liked. The team failed to cohere over the course of the season, stumbling to a desultory fifth-place finish.
Yankee can refer broadly to anyone born or living in the U.S., more narrowly to only those in the northern U.S., or even more narrowly to only those in the states of New England. The broadest use is especially common outside the U.S. It took the children some time to adjust to being the only Southerners in a classroom full of Yankees. After years of international travel, he'd grown accustomed to living as a Yankee abroad.
A cantankerous person is often angry and annoyed, and a cantankerous animal or thing is difficult or irritating to deal with. Although the former postman was regarded by some townspeople as a scowling, cantankerous old coot, he was beloved by neighborhood children, to whom he would regularly hand out butterscotch candies from his front stoop with a twinkle in his eye. He's getting a bit cantankerous in his old age.
Antic refers to an attention-drawing, often wildly playful or funny act or action. It is usually used in its plural form and is often used disapprovingly. It wasn't clear which students were ultimately responsible for the antics that unfolded in the cafeteria that day. The bank staff got up to all sorts of antics to raise money for charity.
To procrastinate is to be slow or late about doing something that should be done, or about doing or attending to things in general. Tickets to the event are selling swiftly, so don't procrastinate, buy yours today. Not one to procrastinate, Harry set to work on the project immediately.
Something described as exemplary is extremely good and deserves to be admired and copied. Our research team was awarded for our exemplary work on the project. His tact was exemplary, especially considering the circumstances.
A simulacrum is a superficial likeness of something, usually as an imitation, copy, or representation. The plural of simulacrum is either simulacrums or simulacra. The surprise still succeeded, thanks to the simulacrum of confusion expressed by two guests when they were spotted before the big moment.
Boffo is an informal word that describes things that are extremely good or successful. The most recent film in the long-running franchise has done Boffo business at the box office, a testament to the series' enduring popularity. The critics gave the movie Boffo reviews.
To rescind something, such as a law, contract, agreement, etc., is to end it officially. Rescind can also mean to take back, to cancel.
Given the appeal court's recent decision, it is likely that the law will be rescinded. The company later rescinded its offer.
Impunity, usually used in the phrase with impunity, refers to exemption or freedom from punishment, harm, or loss. They mistakenly believe that they can break the camp's rules with impunity. Those involved in such attacks often enjoy complete impunity.
Contrite is a formal adjective used to describe someone who feels regret for their bad behavior or something, such as an apology, that shows such regret. Although the mayor appeared contrite about the most recent scandal plaguing City Hall, many constituents remained unpersuaded. He looked so contrite that for a moment, she nearly believed he really was sorry about what he had said.
A nuance is a very small difference in something, such as color, tone, meaning, etc. Amy's musical ear makes it easy for her to detect the subtle nuances in sampled music. The painter has managed to capture every nuance of the woman's expression.
To tantalize someone is to cause them to feel interest or excitement about something that is very attractive, appealing, etc. She was tantalized by the prospect of a big promotion. Such ambitious questions have long tantalized the world's best thinkers.
Abject usually describes things that are extremely bad or severe. It can also describe something that feels or shows shame, or someone lacking courage or strength. Happily, their attempts to derail the project ended in abject failure. The defendants were contrite, offering abject apologies for their roles in the scandal that cost so many their life savings. The author chose to cast all but the hero of the book as abject cowards.
Fugitive refers to a person who runs away to avoid being captured or arrested. The FBI regularly updates and circulates its list of most wanted fugitives and asks communities where they might be seen to be careful and on the lookout. One of the most wanted fugitives sought by the Italian police.
Meritorious is a formal adjective used to describe something that is deserving of honor, praise, or esteem. She was honored for her meritorious service to the city.
To devise is to invent or plan something that is difficult or complicated in some way. The siblings devised a plan to clean the house from top to bottom with hopes of getting their parents to let them go to the concert. A new system has been devised to control traffic in the city.
Utmost describes something that is the greatest or highest in degree, number, or amount. The safety of employees is of utmost importance. Olympians push themselves to the utmost limit when training.
Hubris is a formal and literary word that refers to a great or foolish amount of pride or confidence. The project's failure was predictable, given the inexperience and unbridled hubris of those leading the effort. He thought he was above the law, and was ultimately punished for his hubris.
When you jettison something, you get rid of it either because it is not needed or because it is impeding your progress or otherwise weighing you down. Now that the purchase of the building has been finalized, we'll revamp what we want to keep and jettison the rest. The approach of the storm forced them to jettison their vacation plans.
Like sluggish and groggy, Logie describes a person who is not able to think or move normally because of being tired, sick, etc., or something that moves slowly and ploddingly. The heavy meal left me feeling logy and in need of a nap. The beer made them logy and disinclined to move. A panacea is something that is regarded as a cure-all, that is, something that will make everything about a situation better. The new program should help with the city's housing crisis, but it's no panacea. Technology is not a panacea for all our problems.
Sui generis is a formal adjective used to describe someone or something in a class or group of its own, or in other words, unlike anyone or anything else. As a scholar, she is sui generis, head and shoulders above everyone else in her field. He produced a steady stream of superb comic novels and sui generis nonfiction.
To embellish something is to make it more appealing or attractive with fanciful or decorative details. The gift shop had cowboy shirts and hats embellished with beads and stitching. As they grew older, the children realized their grandfather had embellished the stories of his travels abroad.
Brouhaha is a synonym of both uproar and hubbub that refers to great excitement or concern about something. A brouhaha erupted over the bill, even though the opposing parties stood to gain just as much from its passage. There was a big brouhaha when the town council decided to close the park.
Facile is a formal adjective that is used disapprovingly to describe something that is too simple, or that doesn't show enough thought or effort. Facile can also be used for something done or achieved in a way that is considered too easy or that is easily accomplished or attained. It is sometimes used approvingly, however, for someone or something that works, moves, or performs well and very easily. This problem requires more than just a facile solution. After winning a facile victory over their arch-rivals, the team became the easy favorite to secure the championship. The local author has received numerous plaudits for being a wonderfully facile writer.
To quibble is to argue or complain about small, unimportant things. Quibble can also mean to evade the point of an argument by making trivial or frivolous objections. Why are you quibbling over such a small amount of money? People ignored the main point of the speech and quibbled about its length.
A doppelganger is someone who looks very much like another person. In literary use, doppelganger refers to a ghost that closely resembles a living person. I saw your doppelganger at the movies yesterday and almost waved hello before I realized they weren't you. In one of the creepiest parts of the story, the main character is haunted by a doppelganger.
Petulant describes a person who is angry and annoyed, or an attitude or behavior showing the emotions of such a person. I didn't appreciate being accused of acting like a petulant toddler. Her tone became petulant when she realized that the items on sale were no longer available,